Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's Jess here. Today I'm doing something really fun. I came up with a tag, and this tag is incredibly inspired by the Practical Magic 2 trailer that just came out about a week and a half ago. And the first movie is one of my favorite movies of all time. The books is one of my favorite books. So I really wanted to create a tag that was all about decks inspired by different elements of practical magic. So just for all intents and purposes, I'm mainly focusing on the movie. I love the book, but I feel like the movie is something that most people are most familiar with. And so all the elements that I am using in this tag for the different categories is going to be inspired by the movie. Now I really wanted to show you the copy of Practical Magic that I have, but I'm in the process of moving. So a lot of my books are packed up right now. And to be honest, I don't know which box I put my copy of Practical Magic. So I will show you guys that copy when I choose to reread it, because I am planning to reread that book and read the whole series before the second movie comes out. But I still wanted to do this tag. I was really excited about it. And so we're still gonna do it. Also, apologies if you hear any background noise. I have my windows open. It is a glorious foggy day here in Southern California, which I love. And when that happens, my windows are open. So I just want to enjoy some of the cool air before summer comes and destroys my soul. So the premise of this tag is all of the categories I have, which I have created 9, are inspired by either a character or an element of the film that really stuck out to me the most. But if you decide to do a VR to this, feel free to add anything I missed. I would really love this to be like a collaborative thing. If people want to add some, maybe remove a category if they want to, that like they don't like for whatever reason, just totally fine. It's your video. Feel free to do multiple decks per category, do tarot and oracle, or just tarot, or just oracle. Please feel free to make this your own and change up the prompts if you want. I don't want this to be a super strict thing. I want this to be fun. And yeah, so let's get started. So the first category I have, actually the first bunch of categories I have are all based around the Owens family. So the first one is Maria Owens. She is the ancestor that was persecuted during the Salem witch trials. She was not put to death, but she was left pregnant and heartbroken and alone. So she put a curse on the Owens family that to prevent this heartbreak that she was feeling, all of the men that the Owens women fall in love with will die tragically. And that just kind of made me think a lot about ancestry, emotion, and transcending time. So a deck for Maria Owens is going to be a deck full of emotion and seems to transcend time. Like, it doesn't have a specific time period where this deck is taking place. So I had a lot to choose from in my collection in regards to this, but really stuck out the most to me is a newer deck to my collection, actually. It's these Blue Bones by Rose Bay. This is the Game Crafter edition, which from my understanding, the cardstock is a lot different than what you get on Make Playing Cards, and it comes in a 2-piece box. But for me, it's fine. Like, the cardstock isn't like my favorite thing in the whole world, but the deck is is worth the kind of less than desirable cardstock. Because this is just taken my breath away, and this feels like pure emotion and sorrow and joy and heartbreak and love, and like every facet of emotion I could feel is represented in this deck. And it's really, really powerful and beautiful. It's soft and intuitive and really watery. Like my moon sign is in Pisces, and I feel like this represents what it feels like to be that. Because sometimes the emotions can get a little bit too much, if I'm being honest. And it made me think a lot about Maria Owens and her story, where it's like her pain was so deep and so big and all-consuming that it cursed the rest of her bloodline, you know? So she had to be a Pisces moon, my goodness. But this deck is just evocative, and I don't think it really captures a certain time period. I feel like the space and time where this deck resides feels very fluid. It feels timeless, and also like time can't really latch onto it, you know? So my Maria Owens deck is these Blue Bones by Rose Bay. And it's available on Game Crafter and Make Playing Cards. So, you know, choose whichever one is going to be best for you. I mainly chose this because it was a little bit of more affordable than what was on NPC, but your choice if you want it. Okay, a second is Sally Owens, who is my personal favorite. I feel like I identify with Sally a little bit. But Sally, she is the more pragmatic and the more rational between the Owens sisters, who are our main heroines in practical magic. She is very grounded. She loves to protect. She's a planner. She has been aware of this curse on the Owens family since she was a child, and wants to prevent it at all costs, to protect her heart and to protect her family. And eventually she does fall in love, and she, you know, has a moment where she has faith that this curse isn't real. But it is, and her husband dies. And it's like she goes into full protection mode to protect her daughters, and says no magic whatsoever. Like, she does not want them to feel what she is feeling, which in a way is kind of like how Maria Owens reacted as well. It's just a little different and like rooted in practicality rather than emotion. So because she has done this, she kind of suppressed her own power, and she is one of the most powerful witches, but she's suppressing it because she's scared of grieving and of loss again. She doesn't want that. So a deck that or type of deck that I am attaching to Sally Owens is a deck that is very clear, practical, and or empowering, and kind of feels like it has a quiet strength to it. So the deck I chose, I have in here, is actually a deck I'm currently working with right now. I'm using this in the Lionhearts Challenge. And this is the Black Violet Tarot by Heidi Phelps. And I feel like the perfect way to describe this deck is quiet strength. It's it's very witchy, but it's not an extroverted type of witchiness, which I don't know how I feel about saying witchiness. Like, I feel like a lot of people have like attached cliche notions to witchiness when I love everything that's witchy. But anyway, I digress. I like this deck like really has a quiet strength, and it makes me see my own strengths and know that I don't need to be afraid of them and I don't need to run away from them. I have to work with them. So this deck is amazing. It is super clear. Like my brain, like how it reacts to this artwork, it's like I know exactly what it's telling me. It's very clear. There's no reading between the lines, so to speak. And it's all women in this deck. There's no men, which I'm not against having men in my decks, but sometimes when I am needing something empowering and something to awaken the strength within myself, I do need something that is deeply feminine and also very simple, yet has a lot beneath the surface. I feel like this deck is like a deceptively complex and intuitive. And that's the Black Violet Tarot by Heidi Phelps. And it's mass market. You can find it on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, or, I mean, the best place to go, in my opinion, is your indie metaphysical store. But that's just my opinion. Okay, then we have Sally's sister, who is Gillian Owens, and she's almost like the fiery opposite of Sally. And she's very extroverted. She loves her witchiness. She loves her sexuality. She's very sensual. She wants to experience the world. She doesn't want to necessarily be worried about protecting herself. She wants to love and love really hard, even when it hurts her, and it eventually does. And not in a way of heartbreak, which, you know, I'm sure she had her heart broken, but it physically hurt her. So she is just very fiery and passionate and fierce and just, yeah, she wants to burst open and live fully. So my Jillian Owens deck is a deck that is fiery, fierce, and inspires you. And for me, I have the deck in here, which actually, this deck was a gift from my lovely friend Crystal. She gifted it to me right before I was actually going through some pretty bad heartbreak. And she made me this bag like a couple years later, so they live together. Anyway, this is the Goddess of Love Tarot by Gabby Herstick, and the artwork is by Snakes for Hair. And this is a mass market collage deck, which you don't really see that much collage on the mass market. Fair warning, there's nudity, but I mean, I feel like everyone has seen this deck. But, excuse me, I had a hiccup there. This deck is just loud. It's very loud. It's deep within the divine feminine. It's very Venusian, very sensual, very sexual. And it's just, I love this deck. It's it's a very fiery and fierce yet very watery deck. It's interesting. It's a very interesting deck. I feel like a lot of people stick their nose at it because it's, you know, it's like centered around love and there's a lot of buts. I love this card. There's a lot of butts, there's a lot of boobs, there's a lot of naked bodies, and you know, I love it. I really love it. And it does inspire me to be a little bit more extroverted, because I can, you know, very much like Sally, be very, like, I don't want to say wound up, but worried and want to protect, and very quiet with how I express my myself, I guess. So yeah, this is the Goddess of Love Tarot. I feel like this deck sometimes gets a really bad rap around being only centered around romantic relationships, which, yes, you can use it for that, of course, but I feel like where it shines the most is love for oneself, and, you know, might sound a little cheesy, but lusting after oneself too. And that's something I am constantly trying to work on. So yeah, maybe I should bring this out, because I wonder how this would actually go with Black Violet, honestly, as like a balance. Anyway, yeah, I should bring this out. Yeah, oh, this deck, it's beautiful. All of the majors are goddesses. So yeah, if you wanted to kind of go into more goddess energy and connect with that, and also finding the divine feminine within yourself, which I think this works the best that way, at least for me, then I would recommend this deck. And of course, we landed on my favorite card in the deck, which is the Crone of Swords. Love it. So that is the Goddess of Love Tarot. All right. So the next one is actually two characters together, and that is the aunts. So Jet and Frances. And I feel like we don't meet them individually as much in the first book / first movie. They're more like an entity together. And that might be a little different once you go into the books like that were published later. I haven't read them, so I can't speak to that. But for the intention of just the first movie, I'm going to talk about them together. So I feel like they represent a lot of familial tradition and keeping the family together. They both raised Sally and Jillian, and then also helped raised Sally's daughters as well. So it's like, I'm having a hard time describing this, and like I've been having a hard time thinking of like how to describe this, honestly. So please excuse me. I feel like they represent the family tradition of the Owens family, and upholding that tradition, and also protecting the town, because they help the women in the town work through things and heal them, and especially like protect them against men too. So the deck category for Jet and Frances is either going to be two different options, and if you have one that fits both, perfect. But it's going to be a deck that feels like family, or has a crone-like feeling to it. So the part of this question that I'm really going to be leaning into is a deck that feels like family and has like a generational feeling to it. That was a very long description. I apologize. But the deck I chose was Tarot of a Witch's Garden by Sasha Graham, and the art is by Natasha Ilinchik. And this is another mass market deck, very easy to find. This is one of my favorite decks ever. And it is actually the deck that really reminds me of practical magic, if I'm being honest. In terms of aesthetic and themes, I feel like all of these figures here, they're either part of the same family or live in the same village. It's just absolutely beautiful and deeply feminine, and deep in a lot of folk magic and herbalism, which the ants engage in the most, right? And it's very empowering, and it's cozy. It makes you feel safe when I'm looking at these images. And a little mischievous, because I kind of think Jet and Francis are pretty mischievous. They're a lot of fun, but they take care of each other. They take care of their brood, their town. And so beautiful. I also have the Oracle deck that what's her name? Natasha Ilinchik created. That one's really great. I haven't used it as much, but it is really on a list of decks I want to use in the near future. But yeah, this deck, 10 out of 10. I love it so much. Okay, that is Tarot of a Witch's Garden. And the next deck is about the daughters. So this is Sally's daughters, Antonia and Kylie. And I feel like they add this like childlike magic to the movie. They don't have a massive role, but every time you see them, it's like they are discovering their magic for the first time. And it's almost like they have like an instinctual ability on how to work with it. And it's very playful and joyful. So for the daughters, I picked a deck that caters to your whimsical inner child or feels nostalgic. So I added or feels nostalgic because not everyone's childhood was fun and whimsical or had a lot of positive attributes to it. And just to be mindful of that, I wanted to provide a different option. So just in case, I don't want anyone to feel weird, or weird is a bad description, uncomfortable with this category, okay? So I am choosing actually a deck that kind of fits both for me. And this was one of my first decks ever. And I have it in this Krista bag, which she made for me. And it's absolutely adorable. A little kitty in a hat. And this is the Everyday Witch Tarot. And I learned tarot before I took any kind of formal classes on tarot with this deck. And I feel like it's nostalgic for multiple reasons. I also etched mine in this gold. It's nostalgic because it reminds me of the type of media and books I would read when I was a kid. I was obsessed with like any kind of storybooks that had witches in it. I loved it. And it just like the artwork brings me back to that, like aesthetically, I should say. And so it in that way touches on that nostalgia. Another part of the nostalgia is the fact that this was the first deck I learned tarot on. So it does bring me back to that place 6 years ago where it was like I felt like my mind burst open to this system and this way of, I don't know, like self-reflecting and figuring myself out in a time when I was feeling very, very lost and not myself. This deck really helped me get to that place, and it like represented bringing tarot into my life and almost having like a childlike curiosity about the tarot. And going back to childlike, it's like whimsical inner child, I feel like as a child, when I was just lost in these types of stories, this was how I thought life and adulthood would be. Like, I had this kind of image in my head that this is what it was going to be, because that was what I had to go off of. And I had, you know, a lot of stress in my childhood too. So a lot of things that I would, I guess, hyperfixate on or help me get through certain situations as a kid, it was like I latched onto the stories, and the stories were like my place of healing. So yeah, this deck is so important to me. I love it. I had the mini one too, which is so freaking mini, guys. How the hell do you shuffle it? But it's really cute. I will never get rid of it. So yes, this is the Everyday Witch Tarot. And also every card has a cat. I mean, yeah. As a cat owner myself, I had to get it. But that was actually a detail I didn't notice until I got the deck. Like, it wasn't an immediate thing. Hold on, I'm gonna take a sip of coffee. Give me a second. All right. Now we're at actually my favorite category, guys. This is Midnight Margaritas. And it's like a very iconic scene where the aunts are making a big batch of margaritas, and the sisters go downstairs. They all dance while drinking their margaritas. They get incredibly drunk off tequila, and it's a nice little respite in this like very stressful situation that Sally and Jillian are in. And it makes them kind of realize something together. It brings them together. It brings like their sisterhood together. They get to have some fun, but at the end of the night, they're kind of like, oh shit, we need to take care of this thing, you know? And it's like a wake up call, but they needed that like burst of release. So the deck category I picked was a deck that is fun and loosens you up a little bit. So it kind of like makes you look outside the box. And what I picked was Todd Alcott's Horror Tarot. This deck is so fucking cool. Like, I love it. I was between this one and Hip Hop Tarot because I have both. I know he has another one and he's working on a cryptid one, which I think is really cool. But I chose the Horror Tarot just because it's so different. And it uses comic book art. It looks like the covers of, you know, those mass market horror paperbacks and also movie posters like this one right here. And even in like all the writing, it's information about the card, and it's just It's very cool. It's just so much fun and kind of like loosens you up a bit. Kind of allows you to let go of some tradition while also keeping the tradition, you know? It's really cool. And I had so many decks I could have picked for this. I did not realize how many decks I could have picked, or that I had, that were decks that were kind of wacky and just strange and kind of outside the box and loosened up kind of like what we think of what tarot is, you know? But I was just really drawn to this one, so I decided to show this one. I think a couple other options would have been Tantric Dakini. That would have been like a perfect choice as well. The Craft Decadence Oracle, the Pulp Tarot, like I said, Morgan's Tarot. That's all I can think of off the top of my head right now. But I remember yesterday when I was like organizing this, I was like, there's so many to pick from. So, but I wanted this one. So it's just fun, right? Like this would be really fun to read at like a Halloween party, or even read while drinking. If you drink. Yeah. So this is the Horror Tarot by Todd Alcott. And both of my Todd Alcott decks I keep on my entertainment center where I have all of my movies. It fits. They need to be around movies. So, and they look great. They look like books. So, all right. So next one is the Exorcism. And so this is a scene that towards the end of the movie where they need to exorcise the demon out of Jillian. And the whole town comes together, or I should say the females, the women of the town come together to help the Owens women exorcise this demon. And it's like a very powerful scene of women coming together to fight against something dark and scary and incredibly threatening, and just like putting their lives on the line for each other. I thought it was really beautiful. But when I think of like exorcism personally, it's like obviously it's like that seems like a very, very dramatic thing when it comes to like personal practice, and not safe. So, but it made me think of shadow work, and shadow work, you know, that is done for yourself in a safe space. Obviously, any kind of really intense shadow work should be done with a therapist or with someone else that you trust, within a therapeutic lens and setting. But for just like general shadow work that's like you're doing for yourself, I wanted to pick a deck for shadow work when it came to linking it with the exorcism scene. So yes, this category is a deck for shadow work. And I chose the Lay Vampire Oracle because I use Lay Vampire. I use it for shadow work, but it's also, it more like lets me know of a dark shit that is lying beneath the surface that I need to address, or that I might need help addressing. It's to help work through people or things that are draining you in some way, mostly energetically. I love this deck. And sometimes I feel like if you just look at the cards for face value with the title and the keywords, it just looks like a very, basic oracle deck. But when you're diving into the guidebook, it's like it just makes it go deeper and deeper and deeper into these concepts. And it's very, very interesting and helpful. Like, I have felt this deck to be super helpful and like allows me to do that shadow work for myself, and in a safe way. Like, I feel very guided and supported to do that when I'm using this. And also, side note regarding just talking about shadow work in general, I feel oddly hesitant to talk about it because like true real shadow work, it's like therapy, right? It is that therapy. It's looking at the dark parts of yourself and having someone facilitate the healing and you working through that. It's not to say that someone can't do that on their own for themselves, but I personally feel like if it is something that is pretty intense, just using a deck of cards, to be honest, is not going to be enough. Like, you need therapy. And, obviously that is not something that is accessible for everyone. Like, unfortunately, in this country, mental health is not a priority. So, yeah. Anyway, that is my tangent on shadow work. And this is also my choice for my chosen deck that I use for some gentle shadow work for myself. Okay, let's move on. The next one is the blood spell. So the blood spell is something that Sally and Jillian do, I think when they were teenagers, right? Yeah, when they were teenagers. And it just links them together. And it's like this perfect union between the two of them. And so for this category, it's going to be a perfect pairing where it feels like these decks were made for each other. So I already showed one of these, but the other one is going to be the Seasons of the Witch Beltane Oracle, which I am using along with this deck right here, which is the Black Violet Tarot, which we have already seen. So sorry if you see some repeater cards, but it just is what it is. I love these together. I don't know what it is about these two, but they just sing when I use them simultaneously together. And it's like, now that I'm looking at it, I'm kind of realizing that they are sort of like Jillian and Sally, right? I just realized that. Because Seasons of the Witch Beltane, actually the whole series is just very, very like outwardly witchy, right? It's about the Sabbats, of course it's going to be. And Black Violet is a little bit more quiet and subdued, but nonetheless, not powerful, right? It's not less powerful than this deck. But I really love them together. And I'm really curious to see how it's going to work with the Samhain edition of this deck, which I also have. I only have this one and the Samhain one, but I'm really curious. I have a feeling it'll work really well together. But they just energetically are like made for each other. I've even like had a few readings where like how the figures were positioned mirrored each other. Like the positioning of the figures, it was like really interesting how they were mashed up together. And I'm using these actually every day until I feel like I need a change. But yeah, these are beautiful. I love them. All right, that is the Black Violet Tarot and Seasons of the Witch Beltane. I'm also curious if Black Violet would also work with the other decks illustrated by Gillian Owens, who did the art for this deck. Because I know she did the art for this deck, Samhain, Yule, and didn't do the rest of the Sabbats. But has the Folklore Oracle and then another one coming out, which is about like the home, which looks really cozy. And I wonder if it's just the Gillian Owens artwork or if it's that deck itself, but we shall see. All right, the last category, our final one, is going to be the witch's home. And I feel like the home where the Owens sisters live, or the Owens family lives, I should say, is a character itself. It's living, it's breathing, it's full of life. The garden is growing and alive. I really do feel like that is another entity in the movie. So for this category, it is a deck that feels cozy, safe, and or feels connected to the land. And I chose one of my beloved decks I will never ever get rid of. And if something happens to this, I'm repurchasing it immediately. It's the Herb Crafter's Tarot. This is by Letitia Guthrie and Johanna Colbert. Johanna Powell Colbert, right? Okay, I'm so sorry. I don't have the box around me right now, so my apologies. It's like I can picture them in my head. Anyway, this deck feels like home. It feels like my ancestors. I feel my grandmother in this deck. She passed away last year, and it's like I feel her essence through the aesthetic of the artwork. And it's actually something that is like hard for me to work with sometimes because I miss her a lot. But it is such a cozy, beautiful deck, and all of the herbs that are in this deck, and flowers and other plants, they grow where I live. So I'm in Southern California, so all of these you can find on the West Coast and the Sonoran Desert, I believe. So it just feels like a very homey and warm, cozy deck. And not to mention the association that I have with my grandmother. And not only her, but it just feels like my grandmother and the grandmothers that came before her. It's very deep and ancestral and important to me. It doesn't feel heavy, but it feels heavy, but it doesn't feel heavy, like it just feels really supportive, right? So yeah, this is the Herb Crafter's Tarot. I'm starting to feel like I need to bring this out. I'm not sure. I'm at the point now where I'm like, okay, you know, like I can bring it out and I'm okay. I don't get overly emotional anymore when I see these cards, but I still miss her, you know. But yeah, this is the Herb Crafter's Tarot. And we're gonna end on which one? Yes. Okay. All right, that is it. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you decide to do this tag, please tag me in the description box. I would love to see everyone's responses, but again, like, no pressure. Like, I don't want anyone to feel like they need to do this tag right now or ever, or just enjoy it, you know. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope everyone's doing okay out there in the world, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.